This lawyer by training and Harvard Business School graduate has worked his way up over more than 10 years to become the second Canadian to lead this company. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and CEO of Expedia, Mark Okerstrom.
Welcome, Mark. Welcome. Thank you. Hello, travel industry. I'm Mark.
You recognize that music?
I do. Yeah.
Sound
Nice,
familiar?
little one dance music.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, we're a research company, and so I've been doing some research,
Okay.
and I understand that you're a big fan of pop music,
I do like a little bit of pop music from time to time.
and there's a particular song by Lady Gaga that you've developed some special moves to.
There's some moves. Yeah.
So, who would like to see a demonstration by Mark Okerstrom? I believe it's called The Worm.
I have been known to do that, yes.
I could get the music going again.
Let's wait till the stock price is 3x where it is right now, and then maybe I'll earn the right to do a worm.
Okay. So that's going to be 3 years, 10 years?
I feel like I'm in another investor conference.
So you just become CEO. You have your first earnings call.
Yes.
Didn't quite go the way you had hoped, I would imagine. Like, what do you? Is it like? What do you? It's like, oh shit! Like, what's your?
Well, listen, what a new CEO usually does is just blames the old guy.
I was prepared to let you do that.
I'm not going to do that.
Who is that again? I can't remember.
So definitely, I'm not going to do that. Listen, I think the earnings call went as we expected. There were a number of short-term factors that impacted us. There was on the horizon, we saw expectations out of line with what we planned to do, and quite frankly, we've had plans in place even when Dharas was here to actually step on the gas on a number of certain areas, and we announced that to the world. So, listen, I think that, we always hope that the stock goes up and up and up and up, but as we know, working in a dynamic industry as this, that's not always the case, and we've had steps down over time, but over the long term, it's always been up and to the right, and the plan for the future is that it will be up and to the right.
Well, so can you walk us through a bit from your perspective of how should we look at what's been going on over the past couple of days? I mean, over what we've seen is 3-4 companies now combined, shedding about $20 billion in market cap. So, we spoke to Glenn Fogel last night, and he was pretty strong in his conviction. Look, this is not structural. This is just the market. So, tell us what's going on.
I completely agree with him.
What a shocker!
I think he's a very smart man. We certainly don't see anything structural changing. I think that.
Well, what do you think the market sees? Why is the market reacting that way?
I think, listen, when 4 companies come out and take down market expectations, they see disappointment. And I think the question is, how have those expectations been set? I think that, in our case, I think, we could have done probably a better job setting better expectations early, but there's nothing structural. I think they see companies that didn't deliver what they were expecting, and I think that's reflected in the stock price, and over the long term, I think they will, find that this was a blip.
Well, we've had some discussions too over the last couple of days about some of the possible, drivers or issues that are going on. So one, obviously, kind of pressure in the funnel for kind of hotel and what's going on there. Is demand slowing a bit? Is organic room night growth slowing? I mean, for years, the two companies have had some pretty amazing growth. Is that slowing down? Are we starting to kind of hit?
Well, I mean, all I can do is point to our numbers, right? First half of this year, our room nights grew 17%. In Q3, normalized for about 100 basis points of storm impact, they grew 17%. So we haven't seen it. I'll tell you right now that the lodging industry isn't growing at 17%. We continue to grow, at rates significantly faster. And if I just look at the next question of, well, where is this growth going to come from? Listen, we've got 500,000 instantly bookable properties on Expedia Inc. sites right now. And you just compare that to our larger competitor who's been at this game of adding properties and marketing them globally for much longer than we have. And we see a ton of runway ahead of us. So, again, I don't think there's anything structural. I think that room night growth, at least for us, looks solid.
So what about on the hotel side, though? We heard from the analysts, the Wall Street analysts this morning, a lot of concern about some of the success that the big hotel brands have had with their loyalty initiatives. They're seeing some shift of consumers moving from OTAs to brands. We've also, we've been hearing from Dara for years about there's been downward pressure on commissions. So you kind of combine that along with some of the other pressures, like what Google is doing at the top of the funnel. You can create a narrative which doesn't look super rosy for the likes of Expedia and Booking. And
well, I think it's easy to try to piece together a bunch of interconnected things and come up with a narrative.
Well, that's kind of my job.
And I think that sounds like a great narrative. Well done. You're great at your job.
Can someone tweet that, please? Just okay.
Endorsement. Listen, I think as it relates to the hotel chains, it doesn't surprise me they're trying to drive direct business. So are we. What we see in our channel is, despite the fact that they've been doing that, our conversion rates have not changed. Our growth rates look, very solid. What we have seen, though, is that when hotels do not provide competitive rates, their competitors come into the marketplace on our channel and provide very competitive rates, and ultimately they choose those hotels over the uncompetitive hotels, and those hotels drift down in the sort order. So we've actually seen a shift in our marketplace from chain hotels that are pursuing this activity to independents or the chains that aren't. So is there a share shift happening in our channel? Yeah, and maybe they're getting that volume direct, and I hope that it's working for them from an economic standpoint, and if it is, great for them, great for us. You brought up margins. Just to be clear, what we have done with margins as it relates to the global chains is we've essentially restructured things so that we used to be in a world where we were a premium price for all, and instead we've gone to lower structural margins that are aimed at better tailoring our compensation to when these big chain hotels need us, and then also giving them the ability to either through their individual hotels or through their central revenue management teams, distribution teams, the ability to actually bid up with our accelerator program to get more volume when they need it off of these low structural bases, or use our travel ads product, which is a sponsored listings product. And we feel like our work is done in terms of getting the base level compensation competitive. We're cheaper than GDS, can you believe that? And in many of these cases. And yet the platform's incredibly flexible, and really now we're in a dialogue of how can we help our chain partners make the best use of our channel? Because again, the real competition here is not us versus the chains. It's them versus each other and the rest of the hotels, and we're simply a platform, and we want to broaden the dialogue.
So if you are so much cheaper than the GDS, and why does it look like they're trying to give you guys such a hard time?
Well, I think, listen, these are big brands that are run by great executives who have big ownership groups who are saying, I don't like that line item on my statement that's called OTA fees, and it keeps growing faster, even though we've restructured our margins, because we're growing faster. And so their job is ultimately to drive more direct business. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's what their owners are doing. And like I said, I hope that it's working out well for them from an economic standpoint. It's working out fine for us. If it works out well for them, maybe we've hit a new equilibrium, and then life is good. I will say, though, we've got a number of chains who are, being, I'd say a lot more forward-thinking in thinking about us as a platform. We've got a number of chains who, some of which we've disclosed, some of which we're just in discussions with, who are actually using us as a platform to acquire new customers. Red Lion's a great example where you're able to get discounted rates if you sign up for the Red Lion loyalty program on Expedia, and we 4x'd their loyalty signups. So it works. And I think that I'm hoping that's the direction it goes.
Do you expect more change to sign on and do more of that? Like where do you see the future of that program?
I would expect so. I mean, the results have been incredibly encouraging, and
And if I do that, if I'm a customer and I end up signing up through the loyalty program thanks to Expedia, why would I go back to Expedia in the future and make that booking? I'll just go right to Red Lion.
do you stay at a Red Lion everywhere you go all the time?
I confess it's been a while. I do.
People stay at different places. For people who go to the Red Lion all the time, they're already members of the rewards program. They're not on Expedia. Less than 0.5% of hotel shoppers on Hotels.com are searching for the largest chain by name. Like, our customers are brand agnostic, and the more international we go, and the more we drive demand inbound into some of these chains, I think that's only going to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Really interesting comment from, I think it was Rachel Rothman of Susquehanna this morning, the lodging analyst there. She really saw a very clear advantage with the hotels just because, once the booking is made, you kind of lose the guest. The guest is on property and there's things that they can do that you can't, right? Whether it's around services, amenities, check-in, and so forth. So, and her view is that as these hotels get better at it, that they're going to have an advantage in retaining and getting these customers coming back and back.
Yeah.
My sense is overall, hotels haven't been very good at it so far, but clearly that's something that they're very focused on. Does that put you guys at a disadvantage, or how are you thinking about kind of getting Expedia more, I guess, into the trip, right, beyond the booking?
Well, I think there's a number of things that we've been working on. One is we've certainly been experimenting with keyless entry. I think it'd be very interesting actually to see with Amazon Key, and we've spoken to a number of hotel partners who are looking at that technology is really a horizontal provider to the whole industry. Certainly we know the Amazon team very well, and they're just down the road. I think that creates opportunities. We've got a great business in Alice that recently acquired another company called Go Concierge, which is really helping hotel partners with hotel workflow in many cases. And the dream for this again is that we're real partners for hotels. We have millions and millions of Expedia customers, hundreds of millions of app downloads. A customer shows up at the hotel, they order the towel, it's in the back office system. Now we can feed back to hotels, here's how your staff is actually doing in responsiveness. Now we're helping them. And so there's a couple of things that tangibly we're doing right now, but listen, at the end of the day, I hope that all of our hotel partners give our customers an amazing experience when they show up on the property, because I'll tell you right now is when the day that Hotel X does not give our customer, free Wi-Fi, and Hotel Y does, our customers are going to pick Hotel Y. So the best way for hotels to create loyalty is to give our customers, new customers, incremental customers, an amazing experience. So next time they're on our platform, they pick their hotel, not the next one, and that's where the dialogue needs to go.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. So you are new in the job.
I am.
You're following in some pretty big footsteps.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
So I guess, one could say, well, the question really is, how are you, I've actually been trying to phrase this in a way that does, so how are you going to make your own mark? I apologize.
Nice pun.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Well, listen.
I've been working on that for a while, by the way. So
I think first of all, Dara was an amazing leader and was an amazing mentor to me, and I think the whole Expedia team and the whole ecosystem owe that man a great debt of gratitude for what he built for all of us, which is just it really is remarkable. And when I think about the founder of Expedia Inc. as it exists today, it's Dara Khosrowshahi, and he pulled this business together. I was fortunate, though, over the course of the last 11 years, and more specifically in the last 6, to really help him take it from a business, in the first 5 years, just figuring out how the hell do we get all these businesses to work together, to the last 6 years being, okay, we got this. Let's actually get all of the pieces we need to turn this business into, the global platform for travel, like sending every customer anywhere, by any means, stay any place. I mean, that's where we're going. And we had this joint vision for where it could go. And my job is to ultimately, over the next 5 years, deliver on that ambition and deliver on that mission. And the thing that, listen, the thing that is not as well known is this ain't just about me taking over for Dara. We've got an incredible executive team who is fired up to take us to the next level.
But what's different about you, and what's going to be different? Yeah. What is the Mark Okerstrom legacy going to be about at Expedia? What are you focused on?
Well, I am profoundly focused on what I would just call hardcore operations. I mean, this is an incredibly complex business.
Does that mean kind of a de-emphasis of the M&A strategy that's driven so much of your growth over the past decade?
I think by nature of focus and opportunity, potentially. But you remember, I ran the M&A team, so it's in my blood. I can't stop myself if we see something that is strategically and financially sensible. But when I look at where the value creation opportunity is for this business, for our shareholders, for this whole industry, it's in taking these businesses that over the last really 6 years we've put together and really transformed, replatformed technology platforms, restructured hotel margins, launched agency hotel, like go down the list, remarkable what we've done, and taking it and actually just operating it to the next level. Setting clear priorities, figuring out things that we're not going to do, focusing on building number one leading market positions in a number of markets around the world, getting that done, moving on to the next one. Operational rigor is, where, we need to be to actually realize on the full value of this thing, and that's what I want my legacy to be.
So you had an interesting comment in the earnings call about kind of one of your visions for the future of Expedia. I think the phrase was putting the A back in OTA with an emphasis on customer service.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of interesting, especially because I remember Travelocity, I think it was about 12 or 13 years ago, and the CEO, Michelle Peluso at the time, bet the farm on customer service, and it didn't work out. I think the market wasn't ready. So what's changed?
The world has changed dramatically, and when I talk about customer service, I'm not necessarily talking about humans. The last 20 years of online travel has been about taking that green screen and turning it around and putting it in the hands of consumers so that they can research and importantly, they can book. But travel agents also had this also very important thing, this important function when things went wrong, and you guys all know things go wrong in the travel industry all the time. Weather happens, wrong room, didn't like the hotel. Travel agents would help you sort out that problem. And that's, I think, the next phase in where we're going. Now, versus 12 years ago, by God, we've automated like so much of the stuff. It's probably over 90% of the reasons why people would make phone calls is all now been automated. Chains cancel, you name it, questions all getting answered in automated fashion. We're in the early days, but we've got chat bots with Line and with Facebook Messenger that are automating a lot of service.
But how far off is that? I mean, I've used a lot of these services and tried it, including Expedia, and I mean, it's not been mind-blowing.
It's in infancy. It's in infancy so far. But for anyone who watched John Kim's presentation this morning, I mean, these cycles of innovation are speeding up, and when change happens, it can happen exponentially. So I think it's just a matter of time. Listen, we just need to be in the dialogue. We need to be working with, everyone in this space, including, not only chatbots, but voice, et cetera. But there's other simple things we can do now, too, because we've automated most of these things, but we still take 55 million phone calls a year. We're actually in a position now where if we really know our customer well, if we really know it's you, and you spent $100,000 with Expedia last year, and it was all on hotel, I'm actually in a position where I could maybe afford to spend like time on the phone with you, even though you just booked a flight to Missouri, and actually solve your problem, because I know it's you, because I know my customer. And I think this is where we're going to go. I'll give you another great example. So if you're an Agencia customer right now, and you've got a connecting flight, and your inbound flight is delayed, and you miss the next leg overnight, By the time you land, there's going to be a notification that says we're holding a position for you on the flight out in the morning, and we booked you into this hotel. Click here to confirm or talk to an agent. It's another example. That's putting the AE back in OTA, and I think we're just very much in the early stages.
Douglas, so we have a question.
Hi, Mark. It's Stuart McDonald from Points. So we talk a lot about hotel. There's a lot of money in hotel. There's a lot of money in packages, but air is the milk at the back of the store. What's the future of air, and what sort of investments and direction is Expedia making in that sort of critical driver that you can attach to?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I mean, I think we have been fortunate in that, we have actually continued to invest in air, particularly over the last 5 or 6 years. If you took the Expedia.com site in 2002 when, Stuart, I think you were still there, and you compared it to the Expedia website in 2007 for air, they'd look remarkably similar. Well, now they look dramatically different. We've been working on search speed. We've been working on finding ways to bundle different, legs from carriers together to create itineraries that actually can't be created by the supplier alone. And so I think we've been, investing in the user experience, but we're still very much at the early stages, because where things are going to go is that instead of us requiring you to designate yourself as an air shopper right out of the gate and put you down this path with your blinders on, often with a tab, where we're going is to a spot where you can start wherever you want. You can add a flight, you can add a hotel later, and you can bundle these things together. And it's going to start to look a lot more like a shopping cart. And in that case, things get really exciting. I mean, we have airlines and hotel partners that are giving our customers incredible deals when we match these things together. So, I think where air goes is much more in the area of bundling, where we can really add value. I also think that there is a great opportunity for us, just given the platform that we've built, this two-sided platform where we can engage airlines with activity not dissimilar from what we do with the big hotel partners, where we can start really targeting customers on a one-to-one basis for special deals, get rid of some of this excess inventory, help them with upgrades, all of these things where we've actually got the tech platform to really start to do things. And I think we're, again, I think the next 5 years are going to be incredibly interesting.
Douglas, another question from the floor.
Hey, Mark Mahaney, I got a crazy idea for you. You
Right
ready?
on. Bring it.
Airbnb, there's the news about how they were looking to vertically integrate maybe and own a hotel or at least brand a hotel.
Yeah.
What about doing something like that for Expedia, and like either it's a white label solution or a little bit of vertical integration, and creating a little bit more of something that's unique about the Expedia brand in an accommodation?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept. I think, I would generally steer away from that type of activity, at least for Expedia. I mean, we really view ourselves as a platform, and we want to be neutral in the sense that we don't want to be in a position where, there's an Expedia hotel that we actually want to be something that we're preferencing or biasing. And by the way, I think we'd be terrible at operating a hotel. We know nothing about that. But what we are trying to do is create opportunities for hotels, groups of hotels, to actually distinguish themselves as being different, being approved, part of a program. So we've got a VIP Plus program right now where select hotels who want to step up and provide great deals for our rewards members, provide an amenity, provide free upgrade, can actually step into that program, and the reception has been incredible. So we're interested in providing, similar type experiences, but not from us operating the hotel.
What about other segments, or maybe it's geographies? If you think about kind of long-term kind of priorities for growth, you think about it in terms of vertical sectors or geos that you want to kind of deeply into?
I think the Geo Opportunity is absolutely massive. If I look at our presence around the world, again, if you think about the 3 phases of Expedia, one was get all these things, figure out how they go together. Call that ended 2009. 2010 through 2017, re-platform this stuff, modernize it, get it in the spot where you've got the car built and you can drive it. The next phase is about driving it, and I think that over the course of the last 6 years, we've done a great job essentially just expanding our presence, planting new flags, getting hotels where all of our US travelers want to go. But we haven't yet been in a position where we've been able to focus and say, you know what, I want to be #1 in Malaysia. I want to be #1 in Korea. And to do that, I need to go acquire all the properties, alternative accommodations. I got to have all the payment types. I got to have the airlines. We haven't done that because we've been focused on other things. But on a go-forward basis, that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm really excited about the Geo opportunity, and that's going to be a big focus for us. And then fast follower, particularly for brand Expedia, is yes, bringing all these products in. We think there's a huge opportunity in activities, for example.
I've heard someone talk about that. I can't remember who, but I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to wrap up
Yeah.
with there's a game.
Okay.
We call this either or. Right? So for example,
Slightly frightened.
no, it's harmless. So for example, I could say, chocolate or vanilla.
Yeah.
And you would say?
Vanilla.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
Is that a Canadian thing or?
I don't know. For some reason, I just order vanilla ice cream, a scoop of vanilla ice cream every time for dessert.
Oh.
It's one less decision I've got to make.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we weren't done?
And then we're done. You may leave. Trump or Trudeau?
Trudeau.
Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake?
Oh, Timberlake.
Bieber's the Canadian, right?
I know, but we forsake him. I do like Despacito, though, I must admit.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Siri or Alexa?
Oh, I have to say Siri, but I think Alexa's cool. And I got a Google Home Mini, too, which is pretty sweet.
Okay. Voice or chat?
Voice.
Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram.
Google or Facebook?
Facebook.
Okay.
I want them to be successful.
Not reading anything into that. Alibaba or Amazon?
Amazon.
China or India?
China.
Trip or Trivago?
Trivago.
Homes or hotels?
Oh, hotels.
Marriott or Hilton?
I can't pick a favorite. They're all
Loyalty or points?
loyalty.
10% or 18%?
15. Sorry.
Optimism or wishful thinking?
Optimism.
Airbnb or booking?
Airbnb.
Uber or Lyft?
Uber. No brainer.
CFO or CEO?
CEO.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, Expedia, Mark Okerstrom.
Thank you.
Expedia, Priceline, Trivago, and Trip, 20 billion market cap slip. Markets up, well, mostly down. What the fair harbor is going on? Is online travel slowing down? Hotel Direct, Google threat, Meta retreat, Steve Hafner's new retreat. Paul English buys Twitter. Wouldn't that be a treat? The camera is my new UI, voice, messaging, chat, AI, machine learning, machine learning, machine learning. I don't want a new device. I'd rather have an upgraded life. Blockchain, Bitcoin, digital assistant, hype cycles, or innovation. Travel craves reinvention. Konichi, Splitty, Mezzy, Beachy, Bisley, how peachy. I just don't believe Joel Cutler's lazy. Startup stories, investment themes, congrats to all the winners, and to three-peat redeem. Phocuswright launches, the conference closes, but not for long, have no fear. In Gurgaon, Amsterdam, and LA, we will see you next year. Thank you, Mark. That wasn't too bad, wasn't too painful.